Hello, this is Greg Alson, Green Greg's, coming to you on 23 September 21. Time on deck is 52,500 hours, Central Daylight Time. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have noticed that the volcanic activity of the world seems to be kicking up, seems to be picking up quite significantly, as most recently illustrated by the eruptions, which seem to be still growing on the island of Palma, an island with like 85,000 people, small island with a lot of volcanic activity. Not a place to be. That is just one of many. There's been some recent studies, though, that you might want to be aware of that indicates that supervolcanic eruptions may not give us the warning signs that we thought they would, that they may be far more frequent than we thought, like on the average of once every 17,000 years. And it's been longer than that since we've had a supervolcano eruption. And that, you may not even see the magma coming into the chambers. It just may not be what you think and what you're looking for. If that is true, and I say if with a big if, because if is the largest two-letter word in American or in English language in any dictionary, huge two-letter word. If that is true, the holy smoke, guys, we've got to reevaluate where we stand, and we might have to come to new appreciation for certain supervolcanoes around the world, such as Toba, which some people think may be on the verge of going again. Toba happens to be the one that is believed to have windowed down the human population of about 2,000 people worldwide once upon a time. And then there's Yellowstone. Yeah, maybe it is more of a threat than some of us were thinking. Some of us go, there's not enough magma in the chamber. Don't worry about Yellowstone. Well, there's a recent study which purports to shake that concept up quite a bit, if it's correct. It's kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around that, but holy smoke, guys. But there is other things. There's a recent article that came out describing that, even much smaller than supervolcanic eruptions can dramatically affect our world. And indeed, that has been the case. And with our world being so resilient or so reliant today on massive infrastructure, much more so than in the past, we may be even more vulnerable today than populations were in the past, in which civilizations fell, maybe quite often, for volcanoes that weren't quite a supervolcano. Now, what's a supervolcano? It's something VE8 on the scale, or VE7 is the next one down, which might be like Krakatoa and some of these others that we'll be talking about. But I won't go on it. We'll show you what it is. It's like 240 cubic miles or 1,000 cubic kilometers of eruptive material going into the atmosphere. That's a VE8. That's a supervolcano. Okay, I want to show you all that stuff in a little bit. But why are we talking about this? Because I've made it my mission to help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. That's the proposition of this channel. So I always bring you these stories and more, so you'll know to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel, so you'll know to prepare and what to prepare for. I tell you guys, prepare all the time. And I think a lot more of you taking it seriously, because we do seem to be in a it hits the fan situation, and it seems to be growing on us. There's more going on. Some of that's hard to talk about, especially on these platforms. So I'm going to try to honor the platform and stay clean with its requirements. But all that said, there is plenty to talk about here. And this is a natural occurrence. There's nothing political about a volcano. It is what it is. It's geology, it's earth, it's nature. Sometimes it may be the forces of God. But, however you want to look at it, but it rocks and rolls, and it can really shake our world in more ways than one when one goes off. So let's talk about that. But, you need to be aware that you've got to get, some things ready. You need to know that you got to prepare. You always go to the big box stores. I've done a couple of videos on that. I got a lot of videos on my channel that will help you understand how to prepare for these things. Most important videos are on gardening, guys. Videos about how to grow your own food. You really need to know that, because the supply chains are unraveling. I can do a whole other video on how the supply chains are really unraveling right now. It should be something I should do real soon, in fact. There's too much to talk about in too little time. I'm real busy, guys. But, guys, this volcanic thing really bears some attention on these late studies that are coming out. So I'm bringing that to you. I got the videos on eating from the wilds, the weeds in the trees, wild edibles, medicinals. You need to pay attention to that too. Those two kind of go hand in hand. But especially until you really get that garden down and you can start producing more than you need on a year's basis and putting it away, you need to put some away in case there's a bad day, like a volcano. Volcano goes off, the earth plummets into a mini ice age. And you may not be growing a whole lot of stuff unless you're growing indoors on the ground, which, hey, I cover growing microgreens and some things. So I know you don't have to have electric lights like that. You can put them in a window. You don't have to be in a light for like 3 days. So microgreens might be an excellent choice, but you got to have a potted plant somewhere making your seeds. Maybe a little miniature greenhouse if you can't do a big one. That's all doable, guys. That's all doable. So, but again, to get more of these videos, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click all to get more of this stuff, get the notifications. And also, like I said, you better be packing it high to the ceilings, guys. And right now, I've got a special. Now, I tell you, the food prices are going up, and they are, because the deal on the special is not what it was just yesterday. They've changed the terms. They've been changing them all along, guys. But you better grab it while they're getting good, because food prices are going up. Right now, this special is $100 off for a 3-month supply of this food. It lasts 25 years. That is still a good deal. But, it wasn't but a month ago, it's $300 off. So that's what I'm telling you. Prices are going up. You better start getting things while you can, because, the food prices are going up and availabilities are going down. Right now, My Patriot Supply has plenty. They still have availabilities, guys. Get it while the getting's good. You get 2,000 calories per day. It's a whole lot more than a lot of the other brands offer. And they have a wider selection at My Patriot Supply. But to get there, go to my channel for it, prepwithgreg.com. That's where you get the $100 off deal. You don't find that at the main website. $100 off, prepwithgreg.com for a 3-month supply. There's other discounts there. Check them out. Go to prepwithgreg.com. This food lasts 25 years. It's lightweight. It's easy to store. It's good for bugging in or bugging out because of its lightweight, portability, and these great buckets with the great carrying handles, and even the little pouches inside, guys. It's hard to beat pouches that you can throw in your backpack like that. It beats the heck out of carrying a bunch of cans. That's 4 servings. One of those great big cans is like 2 servings. So, guys, excellent deals. Check it out. Prepwithgreg.com. All right, enough of that said. Let's get into this volcanic stuff. Oh, yeah, for seeds, go to True Leaf Market. I got my links for that too. And others will be coming out. All right, so let's get into this. I'm going to do some screen sharing so we can talk what this stuff looks like. If my buttons work. Ding, ding, ding. Takes a minute. Oh, yeah, what it looks like. Actually, I didn't mean to start out with pictures of supervolcanoes. I meant to start in another tab. But here we are, guys. Speaking of it, this is just some Google pictures of supervolcanoes. This is, of course, some artist rendition of a supervolcano in California. The Long Valley Caldera there, which many people think is maybe just as bad as Yellowstone, although it's rated on some charts as a VE7 instead of VE8. It's got a lot of potential to be ugly. Of course, this is here's some artist view of Yellowstone. Wow. Well, I think that's a little overly dramatic because the ground's not going to crack all the way out to here, but there will be a lot of lava and so forth. So, it kind of gets the idea across. Anyway, these are nothing to be trifled with, my friends. So let's kind of look at this, an article about this study that came out. So we're looking at Sky News, which is an Australian newspaper, by the way, news source. And this is in our science section, science and tech. Catastrophic supervolcanic eruption could be much more likely than previous thought. That's what we're talking about, guys. And so, this is not how a supervolcano looks. A supervolcano is usually just a ginormous hole in the ground, so big you might not even know there's a hole there, because the crater walls are so wide. For a long time, it took a long time to figure out what Yellowstone really was. It was actually a crater where the caldera had fallen in. So here's what's disturbing. This language right here. It's existing knowledge about the likelihood of eruptions is based on the presence of liquid magma under a volcano. But new research warns, quote, eruptions can occur even if no liquid magma is found. What? So what's an eruption? It's lots of magma, just amazing, crazy amounts of magma coming up. So this is what scientists normally would think coming off the bat, or even regular folk. So where in the world are they coming? Well, we'll talk about that. There may be an explanation for this, as you might know. But eruptions can occur even if no liquid magma is found. What? Yeah, that's crazy. But it could be. It could be. We're going to talk about it. There's volcanoes that used to occur back in the era of the dinosaurs called hypershots. They come right up, straight up from the mantle of the earth. And that's why where we find diamonds today is in the shafts of these. Those volcanoes just blow straight up. What you find is a straight, that's what I call them hypershots. It was just a straight hole, like a big borehole going all the way down to the mantle of the earth. So something happened way down the mantle and it just explodes and shoots straight up. And those were extremely, more even than the supervolcanoes we know today, probably. And you find diamonds where those things come up, because the diamonds had to come down from that deep. And that's how we know about this. So maybe the supervolcanoes might have an eruptive mechanism like that. We do know there are mantle plumes associated with Yellowstone and some of these other supervolcanoes. So maybe that magma that's way down there just decides it's coming up in a hurry. I don't know. I don't know the basis for this, but anyway, but it's interesting. The concept of what is eruptible needs to be reevaluated. Warns Associate Professor Martin Danisic, the Curtin, I'm not saying this right, University in Australia, the head Australian author of the study from Oregon State University, published in the Journal of Communications, Earth and Environment. So we got the Oregon State University publishing this, but it's been written by an Australian. So I guess this is why this comes out in Sky News, guys. Sky News was the closest to it. And, you know, some of you might know, so I've kind of, you know, Sky News has a YouTube channel, guys, that I kind of like to watch sometimes. The beautiful Lake Toba, see this huge lake, is actually a volcanic caldera. And this again is the one which went off in 72,000 years ago, that is believed to have brought humanity down to like 2,000 individuals worldwide. And so if you look at it, so this one, yes, it's on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia, and the crater is like 100 kilometers by 30 kilometers, or 62 by 19 miles, as we Americans like to go. So that's interesting. It happens to be exactly 100 kilometers, right? And was this volcano set up for the metric system? Just kidding. The supervolcano is believed to erupt roughly 74,000 years back here, 74, 72. But just say roughly. And some researchers believe the eruption released 6 billion tons of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. Up into the atmosphere, up where the sky is not over clear. And disrupted and caused a great genetic bottleneck in human evolution. I've seen other articles on this. I don't know if everything I want to say is in this article, but scientists propose a October eruption may have been the cause of this, destroying the vegetation and food sources for these people depended on. And it says there's 20 known supervolcanoes on our planet, including that one and Yellowstone and many others. And here is the most recent super eruption came from the supervolcano beneath Lake Taupo in New Zealand. So that was the most recent one, 26,500 years ago. But in here they do say that they believe they erupted with a frequency of 17,000 years. You might say we're overdue, but that's so is Yellowstone technically. Technically Yellowstone's 40,000 years overdue. But give or take, a million years, right? So while these supervolcanoes are not erupting multiple times, intervals of tens of thousands of years between the big eruptions. What we hear about these is that they talk about them erupting quite a bit, after the super eruption here. Here's where you get the 17,000 year marker, talking about the volcanic winter. The impact can be found in the climate, going to tipping Earth into a volcanic winter, which is abnormally cold period, famines and such. I mean, that's like worse than the mini ice age, the Maunder minimum. So they're talking about that there. I'm not going to read everything in here. Using these geochronological data, statistical inference and thermal modeling, we show that magma continued to ooze out of the caldera or deep depression created by the eruption of magma for 5 to 13,000 years after the super eruption. Well, okay, the length might be interesting. That may be new, but it's often been thought that after you get a super eruption, what do you got? You got a big stinking hole in where a magma chamber was, and it will continue to erupt, and they erupt for some time after that until eventually that area solidifies and then blocks the magma. Then I guess over time pressure builds up, and that cap will start to fracture, and as the pressure builds up enough, over thousands or millions of years, it may go boom again. That's what happens, boom, boom. So these findings challenge, let's see, here they talk about after the eruption, and then the caprice of solidified leftover magma was pushed upward like a giant turtle shell. Well, that becomes the block. These which stops the eruptions for some time until such time as it goes, the cork has to pop off. These findings challenge their existing knowledge of studying eruptions, which normally involves looking for liquid magma under a volcano for future hazard. Now, see, they're leaving something out here because this don't get to that. Even though this is what the studies are claiming or what these articles are claiming, they're leaving something out here, guys. There's no doubt about it. There's something being left out here. That's why I think this may be more connected to the mammal plumes or what's going on deep down in the subduction zone. There's got to be some mechanism. I mean, if you have a bang bang and all the chambers are empty, chances are there's not going to be a lot of fire coming out of it. You know what I mean? So there's some mechanism involved here. It might be something akin to that hyper shot I mentioned, but maybe not a full-blown hyper shot, but definitely something coming up from the mantle really fast. That's the only way I think that you could have something like this, that you would have a sudden, unexpected, really rapid excursion from the mantle. They don't say that here, but it's the only way I can come with it. How do you have an empty volcanic chamber suddenly blowing out, 1,000 cubic kilometers of material? Something has to happen. Now, maybe you would get a whole lot of water leak in there and you get a steam exposure, but that wouldn't give you still wouldn't give you a VE8. It might give you a V7, but not a V8. So V8, makes me think of that tomato juice, right? Or the engine that Ford invented. Ford started the V8 engines. Learning when and how eruptible magma accumulates and in what state the magma is in before and after such eruptions is critical to understanding supervolcanoes. It took a scientist to say that. Duh. Well, duh. Yeah, no kidding. I don't know, guys. Interesting report. I'm sure this is an interesting study. I probably need to find a paper on this, guys. I guess we could look up papers. So this is Professor Martin Danisic, and he's from the Curtin, however you say, University in Australia. But the paper they published is the Oregon State University, and I don't know how that works out. But maybe we can go to Oregon State and find this paper. We're missing something, guys, here. But anyway, here's the articles on supervolcanoes. We can click this map and you can get an idea of the VI8s or the red ones. And you can see this is all Yellowstone complex here. I think that's a real Owen Valley caldera here in Arizona. Some of these are further east than you think, guys. And then we got a whole nest of them down here in South America between, I was thinking this is one of the best places to go to get away in case it goes bang, but maybe not. Because, I could go on that more in the future, but we got Bolivia, Argentina, Chile, up here's Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay. We got a lot of interesting countries down there, guys. And that one actually I think is in Mexico, but it's over next to Nicaragua, I think. No, Nicaragua's here, so that's Belize over here, Honduras right here. So but they don't even have a dot right here. This is where Krakatoa is. Where my cursor is the location of Krakatoa. Really, you don't have a dot here? Krakatoa is not rated? What's wrong with you? This is the one that went off about 26,000 years ago in New Zealand. The last one to go bang. And this is Toba, and that's probably Tambora there. Tambora caused the summer without a winter back in 1816. It went off in 1815. Summer without a winter. the the year without a summer, excuse me. Yeah, it was like winter. We had frost in July in a lot of places. The people in the Northeast starved to death. They were having a real tough time up there because of that. So let's go back out of this, and my cursor will cooperate. We'll come down here. We'll look at this. And here's, like, the caldera itself, guys. The salt injections. This is what you'd see with a typical volcano coming up to a dome. This is Long Valley caldera. Bishop turf, basement, congealed magma. I mean, it's kind of like magma, but it's not really hot, partially molten magma. So that's that magma that's solidified, but it's still classified as magma. Okay. Glass Mountain, is that obsidian? The Mammoth Mountain. Okay. So this is all in the Long Valley area. Yeah, I've seen quite a few cones out in California. I was driving through many years ago. Yeah, here's some of the lava flows, some things that's been found. Wow, right across here to the southeast. Oh, that's interesting. That's got to be from way back. But here's, Siberian traps. Guys, this is what occurred in the biggest extinction on Earth when 250 million years ago. And it's when a big section of Siberia opened up and just had huge lava flows. And down here is the Deccan trap, similar to that. And you also got this Columbia River basalt group. I've driven through there, and the mountains and cliffs around the Columbia River are just pure basalt. And that was from a huge flow, probably from the same hot spot that caused that's the source today for Yellowstone. So a lot of stuff going on in the world, guys. A lot of history there. But let's see, somewhere in here, we ought to find that definition I told you of, yeah, there you go. 1,000 cubic kilometers, 240 cubic miles. That's a supervolcano. And it mentions Toba here, Yellowstone caldera, which are hot. Well, Yellowstone's a hot spot volcano, but Toba is generated by a subduction zone where one plate's been pushed into the mantle below the other, and it heats up and all that melted stuff comes up. And you got a lot of that in Indonesia, a very active set of volcanoes based on the Toba, Tambora, Krakatoa. Could come up with a song based on that. All right, y'all don't want to hear that. So here's a list of known super eruptions. Through the past, it says known. There might have been unknown. And there could be oceanic supervolcanoes. And this article claims Long Valley may be as bad as the Long Valley caldera, might be as bad as Yellowstone. I don't know. So I hope not. I hope not. All right, guys. But here's this whole idea that an eruption doesn't have to be a supervolcano to disrupt greatly our lives, maybe even to wreck our civilization. 1815 volcano didn't end civilizations, but it did cause a lot of starvation and a mass migration from New England to the Midwestern states in the United States. So this is Mount Tambora is called the most powerful volcanic eruption in recorded human history. Now you're going to see that same title given to another volcano. I'm going to show you in a minute. So there's two of them that they're trying to claim this title. So that's interesting. But Tambora is probably the biggest one because I don't know. It really changed the climate, but maybe it didn't change civilizations as much as another I'm going to show in a moment. But guys, this one caused a year without a summer. Impact of the eruption. Excuse me. Now the science when Krakatoa went off, we had more scientific instruments and cable, telegraph, that is. So I'll talk about that in a minute. And over here, Krakatoa. Krakatoa, as I showed you, it's in the Sunda Strait between Sumatra and Java right here. I can open that up, you can see it. Sumatra, Java. They didn't even show on that other map, which is kind of strange. See right there. Remember, I pointed to it. So there it is. And here indeed. That's a real hot spot because there's like 3 plates of it coming together right there in one spot. And it's had several episodes of going off, including the island that was there totally being obliterated on one occasion. Well, with just a little remnants up at the edge of the volcano island at one point. So the new emergence of a volcano there today is called Anak Krakatoa, I mean the son of Krakatoa. And it's pretty eruptive too, guys, so you can expect more out of it. But what's interesting now, a lot of people know about this event that took place in 1883. Now get this. This explosion was preceded by explosions for volcanic activity for years preceding cataclysmic event, like earthquakes and stuff. And then the lesser eruptions began on 20 May. So it started out kind of boom, 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 and then it really picked up, boom, 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 then. So on 27th of August of 1883, a series of 4 huge explosions almost destroyed the island. The explosions were so violent that they were heard 1,930 miles, 3,110 kilometers away in Perth, Western Australia, and then island of Rodriguez, and over here in yeah, how do you say that? So that's 3,000 miles away, guys. The pressure wave from the third and most violent explosion was recorded on bar graphs around the world. It's barometric pressure, guys. So, well, okay, I'm showing you a picture of it. Some ones that actually do a stylus recording. Several bar graphs recorded the waves several times over the course of 5 days, 4 times while the waves travel away from the volcano and its antipodal point. So basically, that's on the other side of the world and traveling back to the volcano. So this thing, it caused shock waves to reverberate in the atmosphere of Earth for 5 days. And people that were in, you know, the Dutch people living in an area near this volcano, most of them lost their eardrums. I mean, it blew their eardrums out. It was that shock wave was that powerful. It had pyroclastic flows and just all kind of mayhem and huge loss of LIFE. So this was it's believed to be the inspiration for the color here of this, the atmosphere and the painting, the scream. Who knows? Yeah, the only guy that really knows that is no longer with us. Now here's one that a lot of you may not be aware of. Santorini. Santorini. I've had friends go to this island. Beautiful, picturesque island. Greek island in the Mediterranean Sea, ocean, and Aegean Sea, actually. So it's this island is the remnants of the volcano that went off there, you know, around 1500, 1600 BC. And you can see all of this. You see how the circle, this is like the calderas in here. This was all once one big island. That's a road there. This is a fisheye view. Okay. This one also claims to be the largest explosion in recorded history. The island's a site of volcanoes, one of the largest volcanic eruptions in recorded history. Okay, I guess they're letting Tambora be the bigger one. And so this took place, you can see, yeah, there's a sky view, the Minoan eruption. You can see how this island looks like. This was all one big island at one time, guys. And the center blew out and caved back into the caldera. 3,600 years ago, the height of the Minoan civilization. So it's thought that this may have been what triggered the fall of the Minoan civilization and legends of Atlantis, because there was a huge gigantic tsunami that took place here after that. So Now, this was quite an explosion. In fact, I have seen documentaries where some people attribute the effects and the after effects of this explosion to the things going on in the Exodus part of the Bible, the days of Moses. A lot of the plagues on Egypt have been attributed by at least one researcher to this explosion. I mean, look, this is a very picturesque city up here today, guys. But all that ground there used to be underground. That was all within the mountain, which is no longer here. It was a volcano. Just give you an idea of scale, guys. This is huge. You see that? All that cliff, that all used to be underground portion of this volcano. They used to have a big cap over there. This was the flanks, guys. Let's just give you an idea. And here's kind of a simulation showing you what these islands look like today, three-dimensional aerial spinning view of it. Yeah, this is no minor thing here, guys. This is beautiful cities up here. Some of the most beautiful. That's one of the most beautiful cities in the world, I think. It's just gorgeous place to go. But just think, all this was an island where you were seeing that sea right there. It went boom. That was very catastrophic for all the civilizations around the Mediterranean Ocean at the time. And that should have generated some stories, right? So this is one of 16 decade volcanoes. Decade volcanoes are the 16 volcanoes identified by the National Association of Volcanology and Chemistry of the Earth's interior, being worthy of particular study and allow the history of large destructive eruptions and proximity to densely populated areas. So that's one of the keys here. These are all in Mauna Loa, Hawaii, Rainier. So these are all in the areas of populated areas. Yeah, it looks like Canary Islands there. Etna, Vesuvius, Santorini. Man, this could go off again, guys, at some day. And the supervolcanoes aren't on this list. These are noted by their proximity to a lot of people. Italy has got its share here, more than its share, guys. So we got a lot to be worried about with Vesuvius there, particularly. So Santorini is, like I said, amazing story there. Amazing, beautiful place today. But at one time, that would have been the definition of you know what on Earth. And that is no joke, guys. Houses built on the edge of the caldera. Yeah, pretty today. Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully this thing never goes boom again. What's this in the center? Is it try to make a reemergence? There's an airfield. So you can go fly to that island, guys. You can see it for yourself. Well, if you're allowed to fly. Well, there's the airfield. Anyway, guys, that's enough of that. I'm going to stop the share. So there you go. It's often thought, I didn't show us one thing about Krakatoa.